This is subject of engineering hydrology and water resources management. So hope everybody is getting my voice. If anybody can respond to me. Section.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Section B. Today is 20th October, I think. आज 20 हो गई है और this is third week of semester. Hopefully we will be reviewing the situation in next week. After 4 weeks we will be reviewing the condition of corona and pandemic and maybe some decisions taken if you have to come to the campus or this online classes will continue. So last time what we were studying was introduction of hydrology. We have seen the definition of hydrology and a component of that is engineering hydrology. We have gone through also why we have to study hydrology, and then we have seen the hydrological cycle, I think, and then we tried to quantify water in different parts of hydrology, not all parts, major parts, how much water is coming to the earth through precipitation, and with reference to that we have mentioned you how much water goes back from the earth and how much water goes back to atmosphere from ocean. और इससे फिर हमने आपको further we have told you that out of the total water, if it is approximately 1.38 billion cubic meter, billion एक अरब को कहते हैं, I think 10⁹. So if we have about 1.38 or 1.4 billion kilometer cube of water, then out of that 97% is in oceans and only 2.5% is out of ocean. Out of that, only 0.5% is fresh water. Out of that, only about 0.5% is fresh water, and out of that, out of the total, only 0.01% flows in streams and is present in atmosphere and biological water. And the water which we are using is normally the river water and the groundwater we are using. The river water is 0.0001% of the total water, 0.0001% of the total water. In quantity terms, it is about 1.7 thousand kilometer cube, 1.7 thousand kilometer cube, while the water in the ground, which may be saline, which may be fresh, groundwater has both kind of water. So 95,000 is the reservoir available as groundwater. Groundwater एक किस्म की reservoir है जिससे हम जब पानी चाहें ले सकते हैं. That is about 0.68%. Out of this 0.68, there is some fresh groundwater and there is some saline groundwater. Not all is fresh. And fresh and saline, I think I told you, if the dissolved salts are less than 1000 ppm. I hope everybody knows what is a ppm. कोई ऐसा बच्चा है जिसको ppm का पता हो या किसी को ना पता हो?
सर पार्ट्स पर मिलियन.
पार्ट्स पर मिलियन, 1 मिलियन पार्ट्स अगर सॉल्वेंट है या पानी है तो उसमें जो डिजॉल्व साल्ट्स हैं उसके कितने पार्ट्स हैं। तो जब क्वांटिटी बहुत कम हो जाती है तो हम पार्ट्स पर मिलियन में उसको मेजर करते हैं। तो इफ़ इट इज़ 1000 पार्ट्स पर मिलियन डिजॉल्व साल्ट्स हैं या उससे कम है तो वी से वाटर इज़ फ्रेश, गुड फॉर एग्रीकल्चर पर्पस। फ्रेश और सेलाइन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू एग्रीकल्चर हम इसको देखते हैं। विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ड्रिंकिंग इसके और रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, उसमें मेरे ख्याल में लेस देन 100 ppm और भी रिक्वायरमेंट है। देयर शुड बी नो स्मेल, देयर शुड बी नो इकोलाई। तो ड्रिंकिंग पर्पस की और ज़्यादा सख्त रिक्वायरमेंट है। तो एग्रीकल्चर में हम ये देखते हैं कि डिजॉल्व साल्ट उसमें 1000 ppm से कम है तो वी कॉल इट फ्रेश वाटर। तो फ्रेश वाटर रिसोर्सेज इन रिवर्स आर क्वाइट लिमिटेड and we are harnessing, we are using this resource in the first instant. When this is not available at a place, then we go towards groundwater because we have to lift it up. जबकि सरफेस वाटर को हम ग्रेविटी के ज़रिए से यूज़ करके विदाउट एनी एक्सेसिव एनर्जी, आर्टिफिशियल एनर्जी इतनी अप्लाई नहीं करनी पड़ती। We stop it, we store it, we release it most of the time through gravity. While groundwater में हमें लिफ्ट करना पड़ता है जिसमें we need energy. So initially animal energy used to be employed, and now mechanical energy and electrical energy, motors and pumps are being used to lift the groundwater. So वो भी extensively use हो रहा है groundwater. Most of the urban water supply to the cities and the villages, most of the supply to the cities is the source is groundwater. Okay, वॉल्यूमेट्रिक टर्म्स में आपको बताया था, देन इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ द वाटर बताई थी, फिर आपको सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स के बारे में बताया था। दिस इज नॉट डायरेक्टली हाइड्रोलॉजी। सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स एक वर्ल्ड सिनेरियो है। वर्ल्ड हैव थॉट दैट, all the countries of the world have thought that if we set some goals for us, that is good, we will be moving in a focused direction. गोल्स जो हैं हमें एक फोकस डायरेक्शन में मूव करने में हेल्प करते हैं। तो दे जॉइन टुगेदर अंडर द अम्ब्रेला ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशंस एंड देन दे फिक्स सम गोल्स। Initially they fixed some goals, I think in 2000. They called them Millennium Development Goal. Later on, when those goals time period was finished, they fixed the goals for 15 years, 2000 से 2015 तक. So in 2015 they joined again, they met again, and they reviewed their progress, and there were some good success stories, and they continued the way of development through fixing some goals. So now they call these goals as sustainable goals, SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. So there are 17 sustainable goals. One goal is directly related to water. That is goal number 6. If you see these goals, one goal is directly related to water, provision of the clean water and the sanitation. Sanitation is providing some facilities so that the sewage water, the surplus sewage water from the dwelling sewage water from the urban areas can be safely disposed of to the destination or nala or river. So that is sanitation. So bulk of the humankind have not yet achieved the safe sanitation facilities, and a big proportion of the population of the world don't have access to safe drinking water. अगर मैं इसकी कंडीशन दिखा दूं अगली एक दो स्लाइड में, यहाँ पे है। In 2015 this was a condition that 71% of the population of the world had access to safely managed drinking water, जबकि कुछ परसेंटेज ऐसी थी which were only relying on surface water, यानी ये ponds हैं या rivers हैं उनसे directly water access कर रहे थे, पी रहे थे। 2% of them were getting relying on surface water resources. पाकिस्तान में भी बहुत सारे एरिया में अभी भी surface water पे लोग rely कर रहे हैं। चोलिस्तान हो गया, थर हो गया, तो वहाँ पे ponds होते हैं और उन्हीं पे डिपेंडेंट है। Unimproved water जो है, और कुछ लोगों के पास है कि लिमिटेड इम्प्रूवमेंट के साथ पानी अवेलेबल है, और बेसिक फैसिलिटी ऑफ वाटर इज़ अवेलेबल बट नॉट सेफ, वो 17% के पास है। जिसको हम कह सकते हैं कि सेफली मैनेज वाटर है, जिसको हम पाइप वाटर कहते हैं, जिसकी ड्रिंकिंग क्वालिटी भी चेक की जाती हो, वो 71% ऑफ द वर्ल्ड हैव एक्सेस टू दिस। एंड यू थिंक दैट वाटर इज़ अ बेसिक नेसेसिटी, without water we cannot live. So not 100% have get access to the safely managed water. तो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल 6 कहता है कि वी हैव टू प्रोवाइड सेफली मैनेज ड्रिंकिंग वाटर टू ऑल ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन। अगर हम सैनिटेशन को देखें तो राइट हैंड का जो कॉलम है वो 2015 के कंडीशंस बता रहे हैं कि ओनली 39% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन हैड एक्सेस टू सेफली मैनेज सैनिटेशन फैसिलिटी। सेफली मैनेज से मुराद ये है कि जैसे हमारा सीवेज डिस्पोजल सिस्टम है लाहौर में या अर्बन एरियाज में, जिसमें सीवेज पाइप के ज़रिए से सीवेज मटेरियल इज टेकन अवे फ्रॉम एरिया, then it is treated and then it is released to the natural bodies like rivers. तो वो सिर्फ 39% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन हैव द सेफली मैनेज सैनिटेशन फैसिलिटी। तो अगर हम इसको देखेंगे, अगर इफ 7.5 बिलियन इज द टोटल पॉपुलेशन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, तो तकरीबन 2.2 बिलियन के पास सेफली मैनेज ड्रिंकिंग वाटर नहीं है। 7.5 अरब में से 2.2 बिलियन डोंट हैव सेफली मैनेज ड्रिंकिंग वाटर एंड 4.4 बिलियन डोंट हैव एक्सेस टू सेफली मैनेज सैनिटेशन फैसिलिटी। तो ये हालात थे जब उन्होंने SDGs बोला, SDGs को फिक्स किया, एंड देन दे emphasize the countries to provide effort to put more efforts so that the clean water can be supplied to the 100% of the population, and sanitation facility can also be extended to the double of the current population in the next 30 years. Okay, this goal number 6 is directly related to the water, provision of clean water and provision of sanitation facility. ये जो आपके वासा का इदारा है वो बिल्कुल उसके मुतालिक है। ये किसी जगह वासा का इदारा है, किसी म्यूनसिपल कमेटी में हम इसको पब्लिक हेल्थ इंजीनियरिंग कहते हैं। तो ये बिल्कुल सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल उनके इदारे के मेन एक्टिविटी से रिलेटेड है। बट इफ़ यू सी अदर डेवलपमेंट गोल्स, it has been seen that many other development goals are dependent upon water. They are highly relying on the availability of water resources. Any one of these, can you name which one is dependent upon provision of water? आप अगर सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल को देखो तो पहला वाला जो है वो है पॉवर्टी से मुतालिक। दे वांट दैट देयर शुड बी नो पॉवर्टी। एनीबॉडी हैव आइडिया कि पॉवर्टी को डिफाइन कैसे करते हैं? एक बंदा पुअर है कि नहीं पुअर, उसको डिफाइन कैसे करते हैं?
The access of basic facilities, sir.
ये जनरल सी बात है ना, इसको उन्होंने क्वांटिफाई किया हुआ है।
Yes, sir.
एनीबॉडी एल्स? ये एक जनरल सी बात है कि बेसिक फैसिलिटी नहीं है। बेसिक फैसिलिटी कोई बंदा कहेगा ये है, कोई बंदा कहेगा ये है। इसकी एक डेफिनेशन ये है कि if a person or family don't have earning equal to $1 a day, कितना 150 रुपये बन जाता है आजकल, 160 रुपये, then they categorize it as poor person. So if a person has earning less than $1, so they say that he is poor person. इसकी और डेफिनेशन भी लोगों ने पाकिस्तान ने एक दफ़ा शौकत अजीज़ के दौर में की थी कि if he don't get the sufficient number of calories to eat, so they say then he is poor. वो यहाँ ये कहते थे कि यहाँ तो रुपए में लोगों को नहीं चीज़ें मिलती, लोग तो एक दूसरे को खाना दे देते हैं। तो उन्होंने अपनी डेफिनेशन इस तरह से बना ली कि अगर उससे सफिशेंट कैलोरीज मिल रही हैं तो वो पुअर नहीं है। अगर वो कैलोरीज 2500 कैलोरीज पर डे से कम मिल रही हैं या 3000 कैलोरीज पर डे से कम मिल रही हैं तो देन दिस कंसीडर इज पुअर। लेकिन ज़्यादा जेनेरिक डेफिनेशन जो ज़्यादा मानी जाती है वो डॉलर के साथ लिंक है। पर डे अगर अर्निंग $1 है और ज़्यादा जो डेवलप कंट्री है वो उन्होंने इसको ज़्यादा स्ट्रिंजेंट किया हुआ है, वो कहते हैं $2 से कम है तो फिर पुअर है। तो इस हिसाब से फिर देन दे क्वांटिफाई हाउ मच पॉपुलेशन इज अंडर पॉवर्टी। तो 30% पाकिस्तान में कहते हैं कि पुअर है, शायद एग्जैक्ट मुझे नहीं पता, You can see how many people are poor. So we were talking about the importance of water. So other development goals are also related to water. So I was asking, can you name any one of them which is related to, which is dependent highly on water? पहला पॉवर्टी है, दूसरा हंगर है, तीसरा क्या है, गुड हेल्थ है, चौथा क्वालिटी एजुकेशन है, पांचवा क्या है, जेंडर इक्वलिटी है, सातवां अफोर्डेबल एंड क्लीन एनर्जी, फिर क्या है, डिसेंट वर्क, इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ, इस तरह 17 है. तो कैन यू टेल मी विच वन इज हाईली रिलेटेड ऑन वाटर, डिपेंडेंट ऑन वाटर?
सर गोल नंबर 14 एंड 15
क्लीन एनर्जी वाला
14 और 15 एक बच्चा कह रहा है, और क्लीन एनर्जी वाला एक बच्चा कह रहा है. 14 है लाइफ बिलो वाटर, दैट इज द नेचुरल हैबिटेट अंडर वाटर. एक इसको क्या कहेंगे, एक्वा कल्चर, एक्वा पानी को कहते हैं, कल्चर वहाँ के लाइफ को. तो लाइफ अंडर वाटर, बिलो वाटर, so that is more related to biological species like fisheries, like shrimps, like the food items we try to get from them, and the variation of that nature. तो उस वाटर के मुतालिक हम यही कर सकते हैं, we have to keep it clean, we should not pollute it. तो ये ज़्यादा हमारा जो सिविल इंजीनियरिंग का हमारा कंसर्न होता है, टू प्रोवाइड वाटर एंड टू ड्रेन वाटर, उसके साथ इतना लिंक नहीं बनता. हम लोग इसमें कम कर सकते हैं एज कम्पेयर टू दैट. एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट हु इज टेकिंग केयर के पॉल्यूशन ना फैले, वो इसके मुतालिक ज़्यादा. लाइफ अंडर वाटर इज मोस्टली इन ओशंस ना, लाइफ अंडर वाटर इज मोस्टली इन रिवर्स. तो रिवर्स और ओशन के पानी के अंदर जो लाइफ है उसके मुतालिक है. तो हम लोग इसके मुतालिक यही कह सकते हैं कि if we carry out any development work, it should not be polluting that body of water. तो इससे ज़्यादा रिलेटेड मुझे जो लगा है, ये भी पानी से मुतालिक है, ठीक है, लेकिन हम लोग इसमें कितना इंटरफेयर कर सकते हैं, हम सिर्फ इसको प्रोटेक्ट कर सकते हैं एनवायरनमेंट के हिसाब से. 7 किसने बोला था, क्लीन एनर्जी में वन ऑफ द मेन सोर्स ऑफ क्लीन एनर्जी इज हाइड्रो पावर. तो उस लिहाज से ये बिल्कुल हमारे सिविल इंजीनियर्स और हाइड्रोलॉजी और वाटर रिसोर्सेज से हमारा बहुत सारा काम हाइड्रो पावर की डेवलपमेंट, इसकी प्लानिंग से रिलेटेड होता है. तो प्रोविजन ऑफ क्लीन एंड अफोर्डेबल एनर्जी, तो ये बिल्कुल वाटर के साथ रिलेटेड है. इसका मेजर चंक जो है वाटर से रिलेटेड है. ऑल द क्लीन एंड अफोर्डेबल एनर्जी आप दूसरे तरीक़ों से भी ले सकते हैं, सोलर से ले सकते हैं, but maybe that is not yet affordable. Wind से ले सकते हैं, but that is not still affordable. तो अभी जो affordable, clean and affordable energy है, so major part is coming from hydropower. So hydropower के हिसाब से ये highly related to water है. और कोई?
सर लाइफ ऑन लैंड 15.
लाइफ ऑन लैंड तो बहुत minutely related है. इससे ज़्यादा जो मैं कहूँगी पॉवर्टी, जीरो हंगर और हेल्थ और एजुकेशन, ये वाटर से इस तरह से रिलेटेड है. पॉवर्टी की एक बड़ी रीज़न ये होती है कि ये होती है कि लोगों के पास हेल्थ नहीं होती, अच्छी हेल्थ. पॉवर्टी की एक बड़ी रीज़न ये होती है कि लोगों का बहुत सारा जो इनकम है वो हेल्थ इश्यूज पे खर्च हो जाता है. और हेल्थ अनहेल्दी होने की एक बड़ी वजह अनहेल्दी वाटर ड्रिंक करना है. बड़ी वजह आपका क्लीन सोर्स ऑफ वाटर का ना होना और रॉ सोर्स ऑफ वाटर से ड्रिंकिंग करना और सैनिटेशन की बुरी फैसिलिटी, तो जिसको हम कहते हैं ना वाटर बॉर्न डिजीजेस, वो एक बड़ी वजह है हमारे हेल्थ के प्रॉब्लम्स का. तो ये जो कहाँ गया हेल्थ फैसिलिटी, एक तो वो हमारे साथ पानी के साथ रिलेटेड है. इट इज़ द वाटर expert or water engineer who has to provide clean drinking water and good sanitation facility, जिसका एक डायरेक्ट रिजल्ट ये आता है कि लोगों की हेल्थ बेहतर हो जाती है. जिस इलाके में हेल्थ बेहतर होगी वहाँ की पॉवर्टी भी रिड्यूस होगी, क्योंकि अगर एक फैमिली का एक बंदा अनहेल्दी है तो ही इज़ अ लाइबिलिटी, ही इज़ नॉट अर्निंग दैट. अगर मैं महीने साल में 1 महीना बीमार होकर पड़ा रहूं तो 1 महीने की इनकम खत्म हो जाती है इफ आई एम डेली वेजर। तो इसी तरह से मोस्ट ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन इज डेली वेजर। तो अगर वो घर पे पड़े रहते हैं तो फिर उनकी पॉवर्टी में एडिशन होता है। तो पॉवर्टी की एक बड़ी रीज़न हेल्थ बताई गई है, और हेल्थ अनहेल्दी होने की एक बड़ी रीज़न जो है वाटर बॉर्न डिजीजेस बताए गए हैं। ये आपका मलेरिया, ये भी एक वाटर बॉर्न डिजीज़ है। ये आपका डेंगू, ये वाटर बॉर्न डिजीज़ है। ये आपका कॉलरा, जिसको आप हेज़ा कहते हैं, डायरिया, ये चीज़ें, पेट की बीमारियां, ये सारे इनके बैक्टीरिया जो है वाटर बॉर्न है। तो अगर हम इसको हम इम्प्रूव कर लेंगे तो वी कैन इम्प्रूव द पॉवर्टी कंडीशन और द वेल्थ कंडीशन। वी कैन रिड्यूस द हंगर। पॉवर्टी लीड्स टू हंगर। अगर एक बंदा पावर है तो देन इट लीड्स टू हंगर। तो पॉवर्टी लीड्स टू हंगर, और हंगर का दूसरा रिलेशनशिप हमारी एग्रीकल्चर आउटपुट के साथ है। हंगर उस जगह पे नहीं होगी जहाँ पे एग्रीकल्चर आउटपुट इज सफिशिएंट, जहाँ पे आपको ट्रीज, प्लांट्स, फिशरीज वगैरह आपको अच्छी मिल जाए। तो एग्रीकल्चर इज मच डिपेंडेंट अपॉन प्रोविजन ऑफ द वाटर फैसिलिटी, इरिगेशन फैसिलिटी इन ड्राई एरिया। हर जगह इरिगेशन की फैसिलिटी नहीं चाहिए होती है। वो इलाके जहाँ पे बारिश अच्छी हो जाती है, दे डोंट नीड आर्टिफिशियल एप्लीकेशन ऑफ वाटर। इरिगेशन है आर्टिफिशियल एप्लीकेशन ऑफ वाटर। तो वो इलाके जहाँ पे बारिश अच्छी होती है, दे डिपेंड अपॉन रेन फेड एग्रीकल्चर। जैसे मरी का इलाका है, दे डोंट हैव द कैनाल्स एंड चैनल्स एंड बैराजेस फॉर एग्रीकल्चर, बट दे हैव गुड एग्रीकल्चर ओवर देयर। हम ये नहीं कहेंगे कि वहाँ एग्रीकल्चर नहीं। इसी तरह अपर हिली एरिया जहाँ पे अच्छी बारिश हो जाती है, दे हैव good quantity of water through natural precipitation. तो हंगर का डायरेक्ट रिलेशनशिप जो कि पॉवर्टी से है, एंड डायरेक्ट रिलेशनशिप इज विद द एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्शन ऑफ द एरिया। तो एग्रीकल्चर इज डिपेंडेंट अपॉन वाटर, पॉवर्टी इज डिपेंडेंट अपॉन वाटर। सो तो हम कह सकते हैं कि हंगर को भी हम कम कर सकते हैं अगर हम वाटर पे अच्छा इन्वेस्ट करें, वाटर की फैसिलिटीज़ प्रोवाइड करें। तो इसी को देखते हुए बल्क ऑफ आवर डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट, इसी तरह आप बाकियों को भी रिलेट कर सकते हैं। अगर मैं कहूँ क्लाइमेट एक्शन में वाटर एक बड़ा इफेक्टेड होगा क्लाइमेट का। क्लाइमेट के जो इम्पैक्ट्स हैं, इफेक्ट है, उनमें एक इम्पैक्ट हाइड्रोलॉजी पे है, और भी इम्पैक्ट है। तो उसमें जो क्लाइमेट एक्शन लेने हैं उसमें वाटर वालों को भी एक्टिव होना चाहिए, so that their field, their water should be least affected, and they should be able to provide water to people when and wherever it is needed, and they can avoid the calamities related to water. They can avoid the destruction or the क्या कहते हैं floods and water related disasters through better management of water and provision of the protection funds and such thing. So climate action हमें लेने हैं और water वालों को इसमें lead role play करना है, so that our hydrological sector and water sector should be safe against the bad impacts of climate change. और कौन है? अर्बन के साथ इंटरेक्ट रिलेटेड है, सिविल इंजीनियर के साथ तो बहुत रिलेटेड है 11, लेकिन जो वाटर रिसोर्सेज है उससे मैं कहूँगा डायरेक्टली इतना रिलेटेड नहीं। इफ़ यू आर डेवलपिंग अर्बन एरिया देन वी हैव टू कीप इट सेफ अगेंस्ट वाटर रिलेटेड डिजास्टर टू, इन एडिशन टू अदर डिजास्टर। इस तरह बहुत सारे डेवलपमेंट गोल्स का ताल्लुक पानी के साथ है, और यही बात एम्फेसाइज की गई है इनकी जो यूनाइटेड नेशंस की रिपोर्ट्स हैं उसमें भी। तो उन्होंने कहा एक तो वाटर इज वन ऑफ द मेन एजेंडा ऑफ सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स, एंड द सेकंड थिंग इज other areas including health, education and poverty, they are much dependent upon the water resources sector, or development of the water resources sector of the area. तो ये आपको मैसेज देना था। ये कल मैंने ये देखी है रिसेंट स्लाइड अबाउट व्हाट इज द इफेक्ट ऑफ कोरोना वायरस कोविड-19 on availability of water and the sanitation facility। तो उन्होंने देखा बिफोर द कोविड-19 ये 2.2 बिलियन पीपल के पास सेफ ड्रिंकिंग वाटर फैसिलिटी नहीं थी, और 4.2 जो लास्ट स्लाइड में 4.4 लिखा हुआ है, ये 4.2 कर लीजिए। 4.2 बिलियन पीपल don't have facility of sanitation, before the COVID-19. But after COVID-19, what they have found that about 3 billion people don't have access to the safe water so that they can clean their hands, because one of the major and effective way of mitigating the corona, one of the major and effective way of mitigating the COVID-19 is cleaning your hand for 20 seconds with soap or sanitizer. So if they don't have access to clean water for hand wash, so corona efforts against corona will be jeopardized. They will not be successful. तो इन्होंने estimate किया है कि 3 billion people worldwide don't have access, or they lack basic hand washing facility at home. तो ऐसे बहुत सारे घर हैं जिनमें ये फैसिलिटी नहीं है कि वो जैसे ही घर में आए तो हाथ धो लें, जैसे ही वो शक है कि किसी से वो एक्सपोज हो गए हैं कोरोना वायरस से, तो दे शुड वॉश देयर हैंड. दे डोंट हैव दिस फैसिलिटी. So we have to provide this facility as water experts, and for that subjects like hydrology will play important role. So that was done last time. You were also informed about watershed. Anybody will tell me what is a watershed area? क्या होता है?
All the area which is contributing in providing water.
हाँ, रिपीट करो और ऊंचा बोला जरा.
Sir, all the area which is contributing in providing water.
All the area which is contributing are draining water at a certain point. किसी एक पॉइंट के रेफरेंस से एक वाटरशेड डिफाइन होता है. अगर मैं वो पॉइंट चेंज करूं तो वाटरशेड डेफिनेशन और इट्स लिमिट्स विल बी चेंजिंग. सो वाटरशेड इज area of land that drains water and other things, sediments and dissolved materials, to a common outlet. So you must specify that with reference to an outlet, with reference to a point. Outlet is nothing but a point which is draining water. For example, along the river, I can take any section and I can say this is the outlet of the upper area, and all that area which is contributing water at that point, at that outlet, that will be watershed for that outlet. Like if I move a little bit down or move a little bit up, watershed area will be changed. So watershed area or catchment area is with respect to an outlet. Without outlet, you cannot define a watershed. So all the area which is draining water or contributing water at a certain point, so that will be watershed. They are separated by the watershed boundaries, and their size do change from place to place, and we mention them in area units. Within a watershed, we can have many sub-watersheds, and a big watershed which is draining water to ocean or permanent water bodies, usually we call that watershed as a basin. A watershed which drains water to a permanent water body, we call that watershed as basin. ये बात भी नोट कर लें. Okay. Please note this difference that basin, watershed, catchment, conceptually they are same. Basin is that area which is draining water at the outlet, and usually outlet is a permanent body of water like ocean. While watershed and catchment can be for outlet which is any place within the catchment. So that's the reason that you will be listening the words like Indus Basin. When we talk about Indus, we say this is a basin, but you will not hear the word Ravi Basin or Satluj Basin. So because they are not draining water to a permanent water body like ocean or reservoir, they are draining water, Satluj, Ravi, Chenab, Kabul, they are draining water to another river body. they are joining to another river. So usually we use the word basin with the Indus because it is reaching to the ocean. Okay, so after understanding of the ocean, of the watershed, then we have to tell you, I am moving to the second part of the lecture, that is in the lecture 1A. In that we have to tell you different hydrological process. We have to introduce you with the different hydrological process which we might have seen in the hydrological cycle. These processes you have already, some of them you are encountered with, some of them you have already studied, and we have to revise them. So precipitation, canopy interception, evaporation, transpiration, infiltration, depression storage, surface runoff, groundwater flow, subsurface water flow, river flow. So these are some of the major component or processes within the hydrological cycle. Water which is flowing in the hydrological cycle, water which is moving in the hydrological cycle will be going through one of these components of hydrological cycle, or one of the storages of the hydrological cycle. So if we see this component one by one, precipitation is the process in which moisture reaches the surface of earth from atmosphere. एटमॉस्फेयर से पानी सरफेस ऑफ अर्थ पे जब आता है, we say this is precipitation. So it includes rainfall, it includes snow, it includes hailstorm and other ways of movement of water from the atmosphere too. So this is the major input to the surface water of the ground, of the earth. Inverse to this, precipitation के उलट जो है, reverse to this is evaporation, the third one. Transformation of water from the surface of the earth to atmosphere. So precipitation comes to the earth because of the gravity force. Evaporation goes to the atmosphere because of solar energy, and because of the solar energy, sufficient energy is available, and the molecules of the water are changed from liquid phase to the vapor phase, and then they, because of their low density, because of their buoyancy, they move upward. So evaporation is transformation of the water from the surface of the earth, or surface of earth से मुराद water surfaces भी हो सकती हैं. Earth contains land and water bodies. So from the surface of earth, if water moves above towards atmosphere in the form of the vapors, we say this is evaporation. Okay, other processes are canopy interception. Canopy is the cover of vegetation on the earth. अगर आप अर्थ को सैटेलाइट से देखें तो wherever there is vegetation, you will see that you will not be able to see the bare land. So you will see there is a canopy like thing. Canopy शामियाना आपने देखा होगा, या टेंट देखा होगा, या आप अम्ब्रेला को देखें. So these trees leaves are working as a canopy for the ground. So when precipitation occurs, not all precipitation water or rainwater reaches to the ground, reaches to the earth immediately. Some of that is intercepted or stopped by the canopy of the trees and vegetation. So that part of the water which is held by the vegetation cover, so that we call as a canopy interception. That quantity of water we call as canopy interception. It's the rainfall that is intercepted, which is not reaching to the ground. It is that part of the rainfall that is intercepted by the canopy. And now you know canopy means canopy of trees, canopy of vegetations. So that part of the rainfall that is intercepted by the canopy of the tree and vegetation, and later on, successively later on, either it evaporates back to atmosphere or it drips down to the ground. Bulk of it goes back to the atmosphere through evaporation. A leaf has intercepted some droplets of water, so either it will come down and or it will go up. So canopy interception has two fates. Either it will evaporate back or it will drip down to the ground. So transpiration is similar to evaporation. I think I told you earlier also. It is the evaporation through plants, leaves. Through plants, जो evaporation होती है. So that is called as transpiration. It is estimated, and you have seen in the hydrological cycle figure also, that out of the total rainfall on the ground, on the land, out of the total land precipitation on the land, 61 parts goes up in evapotranspiration. So that is a combination of evaporation and transpiration. So infiltration is that component of the water which comes to the ground and then it seep into the earth. Fraction of the rainwater that penetrates into the ground is called infiltration. That is one of the main source of inflow to the groundwater. Groundwater reservoir, which we have seen that 0.68% of the total earth water is groundwater, which was about 9500,000 kilometer cube. आज ही हमने देखा है टेबल में. So 9500. So the bulk source of that groundwater is because of the infiltration of the water from the ground surface. So if all the earth was impermeable, then groundwater body would have gone. This would have vanished away. So it is the permeability of the soil which allows water to penetrate into, and then it is stored in the underneath storage of water, which we call as the groundwater storage. So infiltration is fraction of the rainwater that penetrates into the ground. It infiltrates and processes. The process is known as infiltration, and the water which goes is infiltrate water. If it is permeable, then infiltration occurs. So from here, another study starts. If we change land cover, land cover means what is covering the land. Sometimes land is covered by the crops, sometimes land is covered by forest, sometimes land is covered by bare soil, sometimes land is covered by roads and sometimes houses. So if we change the land cover from natural land cover to artificial land cover, then infiltration change, then groundwater resources change, then water available on the surface change, and such studies are now we are doing it for different catchments of Pakistan and other areas. Effect of land use change on availability of surface water in Rawal Dam catchment. Effect of land use change in Khanpur Dam catchment. Those reservoirs and dams which are built specifically for purpose and agriculture purpose. For those, if we have chances that their availability of water will affect because of the land use change, then such study we carry out as master study or as consultation studies. So few master study you can see carrying out this factor. If land cover change, what will be the effect on the groundwater, what will be the effect on the surface water, how we can mitigate it. But you should be knowing at this moment that if you change the land cover from, for example, bare land to the cropland, infiltration will change. If you change it from cropland to forest, infiltration will change. If you change it from these three to urban area, infiltration will change. And if there is more urbanization, infiltration reduce, surface water increase. Out of the total precipitation water, infiltration reduce if you change from the natural cover to impermeable covers like roads and a building. Then infiltration reduce, and then surface water enhance, and more floods and more flows will be seen over there, and you will be seeing the groundwater table is going down. Reduction in groundwater table will be happening over there. So such studies we people are carrying on through our research studies. Depression storage, when water occurs, so our topography, our natural land surface levels are not smooth. At some places there are hills, and at some places we have depressions. The depression area becomes natural lakes, natural ponds, natural lakes. So some water is stored in these depressed area, and we say the reservoir or natural lake or pond has been formed over there. So that should be also accounted for when you are accounting the all aspect of water in a hydrological cycle. Depression storage is one of the uh, uh, water storage which is not reaching to the river immediately. For example, if you are carrying a water budget estimation and you say that 100 millimeter of the rainfall occurred in a certain area, so you will be trying to see where that 100 millimeter of rainfall is going. So when you will see that a river gets so much water, groundwater gets so much water, there may be some leftover water which you are not seeing where it goes. So it can be depression storage, which is holding water in its storage for some time, and then that water is going into ground in the later stage or evaporating to the atmosphere in the later stage. So depression storage is an important factor in hydrological cycle. So when infiltration have been done, some part goes to infiltration, some part goes to depression, some part is evaporated back, then excess water start flowing on the ground. So we say that excess water is the surface water, surface runoff, surface runoff. The rest of the water that moves on the ground surface, we call that as surface runoff. And how much will be the speed of that surface runoff? How much will the quantity? That depends upon the type of the surface. If it is impermeable, if it is porous, it depends upon slope of the surface. If it is a steep slope, it will runoff will be high speed. It will be going out of that area immediately. If it is mild slope, small slope, then it will be moving out slowly. So surface water, surface runoff occurs, and also the surface flow occurs. The infiltrated water goes to the soil and it joins the groundwater. So some part remains as moisture in the upper part of the soil, and that part of the soil is usually not saturated. And some part reaches to the lower layers of the soil, which is considered as saturated. 100% of the pores are filled with the water. So that part which is 100% saturated, we say this is the groundwater. This is the ground, although all the water is under the ground, but we have divided it into two components. If we see the picture, in this picture you see this is the surface of the ground. Hopefully you are seeing the mouse. If this is the surface of the ground, water infiltrates. So all these underground layers can be divided into two major components. One is that component of the soil which is 100% saturated, and that is named as groundwater. While the upper part of the soil, which has the soil water, but it is not 100% saturated. So it is partially saturated. We call this part as surface moisture, subsurface moisture. We call this moisture or this water as the subsurface moisture. Water flows from both parts. Subsurface moisture also flow in the direction of the gravity, and the groundwater also flow in the direction of the gravity. Understand, water in the soil moves vertically downward also, it moves horizontally also in the direction of the gravity. So that two things are called as subsurface flow and the groundwater flow. So that should be distinguished from each other. One is subsurface flow, that is the flow of water in the unsaturated zone. One is the groundwater flow, that is the flow of moisture in the saturated part of the ground. Flow of water in the saturated zone of the soil is called as groundwater flow, while flow of the water in the unsaturated zone of the soil under the ground is called as subsurface flow. Sometimes we call this subsurface flow as interflow, the flow between the ground and between the groundwater. Interflow, intermediate flow, or interflow. It moves towards the river. It moves towards the gravity, and usually rivers are towards the direction of the gravity. So how much will be the flow quantity? How much will be the speed of this flow? It depends upon the soil type. It depends upon the head available for movement. ग्राउंड वाटर फ्लो के लिए हम डार्सी इक्वेशन यूज करते हैं, Q is equal to CIA. C is RKIA, K is the permeability coefficient, I is the hydraulic gradient, A is the flow area. So it will be informed to you when we will be studying the groundwater flow in more detail. And then surface runoff, when it is combined together and make a form of a channel, so then that surface runoff, that will be called as river flow. When the surface runoff becomes of so much depth that we can measure it, so then we say now it has become the shape in the form of the channel. So then we say this is a channel flow or river flow. So this is also surface flow, but we distinguish it from surface runoff. Surface runoff we consider as a thin sheets flow, while the river flow has considerable depth of flow. So it is a river flow which we stop in the reservoir or dam, and then we divert it in the canals, and then we use it for beneficial purpose. So as a hydrologist, we are assigned usually duty to budget this water, see how much water is available in what part of hydrological cycle. So some budget figures are repeated over here. For example, if the total water is 1.38 billion kilometer cube, fresh water is only 10 million kilometer cube. River water is even less, 93,000 kilometer cube. So although it is 71% of the total surface of the earth, but freshwater resources in rivers is quite limited. So quite often we have to budget this water, and we should know what is a budget. Budget is, in general terms, budget is the statement of income and expenses. In general terms, in economic terms, when we say budget, तो income and expenses की statement को budget कहते हैं. We have university budget. So when we say university budget, people know that in this report or in this sheet, they will be telling how much is the income of the university, how much is the expenses of the university, what are the balance. Balance can be plus, balance can be negative. When there is negative balance means we have to borrow from somewhere. So similarly, we have budget of Pakistan. But in hydrology, budget means statement of inflows and outflows and the net availability of the water. Statement of inflow and outflows for a certain area, for a certain region, for a certain part of hydrological cycle, or for the whole hydrological cycle. So a budget reflects the relationship between input and output of water for a region, for a part of hydrological cycle. And why we have to do it? Why we have to make a budget? Why we have to estimate these values? Any answer for that? क्यों बजट बनाते हैं, क्यों मेहनत कर रहे हैं, इन फिगर्स में क्यों जा रहे हैं? हम आपसे कहेंगे रिवर फ्लो को मेजर करो, ग्राउंड वाटर फ्लो को मेजर करो, ग्राउंड वाटर लेवल को मेजर करो. व्हाई? क्यों करवाएंगे ये काम? लिमिटेड है. ओके, देन व्हाट? ठीक है, क्वांटिफाई करने के लिए ऐसे ही है जवाब, लेकिन इसके लिए बड़ी जो वेल स्टेटेड स्टेटमेंट या सेंटेंस है, वो कहते हैं यू कैन नॉट मैनेज अ रिसोर्स इफ यू कैन नॉट मेजर इट. यू कैन नॉट मैनेज अ रिसोर्स, आप उसे अच्छा मैनेज नहीं कर सकोगे if it is not measurable. So for better management of water resources, we have to measure it, and then we have to account all its components, and we have to see which part we can use it more efficiently and which part is already under high stress of its utility. So to better manage a resource, we have to measure it first, and after measurement we equate how much water is inflow, how much water is outflow, and stating such things is actually we are talking about budget of that water. So we can consider that if we consider our global hydrological cycle, अगर आप अपने अपने जहन में लाएं पूरा ग्लोब का हाइड्रोलॉजिकल साइकिल इंक्लूडिंग द ग्राउंड, अर्थ, ओशंस, एटमॉस्फेयर. So this is called a closed system with respect to water. It is not closed with respect to energy, but with respect to water, it is closed system. What does it mean? Water does not enter into this system and water does not leave this system. So quantity of water in global hydrological cycle is more or less constant. So that's why we call this system as a closed system. While if you take a part of the hydrological cycle, or you take a length of the river reach, or you take just the groundwater, or you take just boundary of a country, so that system is not considered closed hydrologically. For example, if you take a 100-kilometer length of the river, you cannot say this is closed. Water is not coming to this reach and water is not going out of this reach. No, not possible. So with respect to hydrology, we can say that a system is a closed system if no inflow or outflow is going out of the boundary of the system. But if it is uh, its boundaries are porous, it is getting some inflow or releasing some outflow out of the boundary. So we say this is open system. So most of the water budget problems are with respect to our open system. We either I will talking about tell me the budget of Pakistan, tell me the budget for Punjab, tell me budget for river reach from Karbela to Chashma Biraj. So things like that. Tell me the budget of the Ravi from Shadra to Baloki. So these are the open system. It will be getting some water inflow. It will be releasing some water downstream. Some water will be going to the ground underneath. Some water will be evaporating. So with respect to that river, it is very much open system. So we should understand two kinds of system. One is called as closed system, one is called as open system. Usually a component of the hydrological cycle are open system. And we can establish water budget for closed system also and water budget for open system also. So if we have to make a water budget for a watershed or a part of a watershed, this is part of a watershed. With respect to surface water, if we talk about watershed or a catchment with respect to surface water only, I'm not talking about atmosphere, I'm not talking about ground, just surface water. I can say that a watershed is closed if there is no transfer of water from other watersheds. Sometimes we transfer water artificially. Sometimes naturally river is coming. Okay, so watershed can be considered as closed system with respect to surface water if it has no watershed transfer of water. So in this watershed, for example, here's the river. In this wetland area, wetland area is that area in which most of the time water is standing, like delta area of coastal regions. So most of the time water is standing. Wetland habitat over there, and they have cut it in a perspective view, three-dimensional view. You can see the layers of the groundwater over here. You can see the surface water over here. So they are telling you if you have to estimate the budget or if you have to write the equation or quantity of a budget of water in this area, so you have to take into account these components. For example, this wetland is not closed at upper boundary. Water is flowing from here, upper part to the lower part and going in this way. So it is not closed over here. So you have to quantify how much is water coming through the surface. Water is not closed at the downstream boundary. So you have to quantify, or you should have knowledge of water going out in a certain time period out of this area. Under the ground, water is, there's not impermeable boundary vertically. So some water will be coming from the side area or it will going towards the side area. So we have to take into account these things. At the moment, we don't know the quantity. Only consider what we have to account for. We have to take into account. So some water will be coming from atmosphere. you have to take into account. That is the precipitation. Some water will be going back to atmosphere. We have to take it into consideration. That is evapotranspiration. Soil moisture and depression storage. So all of these, if I call storage, so soil moisture and the storage in this area will not be remaining constant. Previously, let us say all the soil moisture, if I combine together, all the water which was standing in the depression storage, if I combine together, if it was storage S1, so after a certain time period, that storage will change. It will not remain constant. So change of storage I have to take into account. So these are through figure and through labelizing different parts of water. We are trying to tell you what components of water you have to take into account if you are budgeting the water in this area. So you should be able to name them. You should be able to identify them. You should be able to know whether it is inflow for this area or it is outflow for this area. For example, if I am making the budget for this surface water, precipitation is inflow. But if I am making budget for atmosphere, understand this thing. If I am making budget for atmosphere, then precipitation is outflow for that system. But if I am making budget for the surface water, then precipitation is inflow for that. Similarly, infiltration to the soil is outflow for the surface water. Infiltration to the soil is outflow for the surface water system, if I am considering surface water system. But it is a kind of inflow for a body, for a person who is considering only the groundwater system. For a groundwater system, infiltration is inflow. So you have to recognize the component and you have to recognize, and these are easy to recognize, what system you are studying, you should understand what are its boundaries. So anything coming to that boundary is coming into that boundary is inflow, anything leaving out of that boundary. So these boundaries you have to define yourself depending upon the problem you are solving. If you are solving the budget problem for the whole hydrological cycle, so then your upper boundary will be a space, the top of the troposphere. We consider that most of the hydrological activity occurs in the troposphere, that is about 10 kilometer long depth of the atmosphere. Above that, hydrological activities are very less significant. So our meteorological activities are less significant. So boundaries you have to fix yourself. If you are talking about the whole hydrological cycle, so upper area is that. The lower area in under the ground, maybe you don't need to go to the center of the earth. The upper part of the groundwater table, below which no effect of inflow or outflow will happen within your time period of analysis. So that can be considered as a lower boundary. Horizontal boundary, similarly, you have to see if you are considering the whole globe. So the whole globe is your boundaries on the surface. So considering the boundaries of the system, you can understand which one is inflow, which one is outflow. So I take a break over here. And then if you have any if you have any question, you are welcome to ask it now. I forgot to record it. So maybe after the break we can record also. At the moment 40 students are there. So are you with me? Are you getting something? Any questions? Any queries which come to your mind? You are welcome. बोल नहीं रखा है.
नो सर, इधर ही हूँ मैं.
अच्छा, हाइबरनेट हुए हैं. क्या हालात चल रहे हैं? पढ़ाई कैसे जा रही है?
सर ठीक जा रही है.
Okay, you would like to join the university on the campus? यही घर
Yes,
वाले
sir.
बेड पे बैठ के पढ़ना ठीक है.
नहीं सर, ऑन द कैंपस.
On the campus. यार यहाँ दोस्त क्या मिस कर रहे हो और तो कुछ नहीं. भोले की कैंटीन तो नहीं मिस कर
यस
रहे?
सर, सब कुछ ही मिस कर रहे हैं.
अच्छा, चलो अल्लाह करे नॉर्मल हालात पे आ जाए. See you at it is nice. किसी के क्वेश्चन है तो वेलकम. कोई सवाल, कोई मसला? Okay, so 9:15 पे मैं फिर दोबारा ज्वाइन करता हूँ. Okay, welcome back after break. I'm starting the recording and coming back to the presentation. So here I have shown outlet and a catchment. If I change the location of the outlet, if I bring it over here, so catchment will not be then remain same. Then catchment will be only that area which is contributing water at the new location. If I move this outlet to, if you are seeing the mouse location, to a small river end over here, so then catchment will be only that part which is providing water to that outlet. So that will be only catchment. Have you got it? So catchment is dependent upon location of the outlet. This hydrological budget, when precipitation occurs, what happens to it is in a flow chart form, it's shown over here. Precipitation occurs, in some is intercepted, some is evaporated, some goes to depression storage, and from there some is evaporated, some is infiltrated, some directly infiltrate, some over land flow and then becomes channel flows. In the infiltration, there is interflow, there is deep groundwater which occurs. So, and then that underground water also sometimes comes back to the surface water as a channel into springs की सूरत में आ जाता है. तो ये एक और तरीका है different processes को show करने का. So, if we have to make a hydrologic budget for a certain catchment, then you can see what are the inflows. In the next slide, we will be showing you what are the outflows and what are the storages. ये तीन किस्म की चीजें हो सकती हैं. In writing an equation for a hydrological budget, and I already told you hydrological budget is a statement of inflows, water inflows and outflows for a certain region or certain area or a certain component of hydrological cycle. So हमें inflows को identify करना पड़ता है, हमें outflows को identify करना पड़ता है, हमें storages को identify करना पड़ता है, and then we have to quantify them. First we identify them, then quantify them. Sometimes we say, oh, this component of the budget is very minute, I can ignore it. Sometimes we cannot estimate it, and we find alternate way to estimate it. One benefit of writing a hydrological budget equation is we can use an equation to find one unknown if all the other part of the equations are known. So okay, we go step by step. What can be possible inflows if we have to budget, if we have to write the budget equation, what are the possible inflows? So those are written over here. At the moment, 43 students are there. You are recording this shift. So precipitation will be most of the time for our hydrological part, surface water and the groundwater. Precipitation will be considered as inflow, while also the infiltration will be considered inflow for groundwater, and it will be considered outflow for surface water. For a system of water, it will infiltration will be considered inflow for groundwater system, and it will be considered as outflow for surface water. So if it is infiltration is mentioned over here, it means it is with respect to the groundwater. So because we want to make the hydrological budget for all this part, groundwater and surface water, although we can make budget for surface water separately, we can make the budget for groundwater separately. and then we can combine them together. So what are the possible inflows for surface water? What are the possible inflows for the groundwater? All the inflows are mentioned over here. So precipitation is inflow for the surface water. Infiltration is inflow for groundwater. Any water which is coming to the surface through the surface bodies like rivers, so that will be considered as the inflow water from a channel entering into the area. That is shown over here and written over here. So water entering into the channel from the surface bodies, that will be considered as inflow. Groundwater flowing into the area from adjoining. Like surface water flows to the area, underground water also is flowing. Although not with the same speed as the surface water is flowing, groundwater is moving with a very slow speed because of the pores, because of the friction within the soil. So, although it is moving towards the lower gravity, lower water levels in the ground, so but it is flowing. So, any water which is coming to the boundary of this area, so that will be through the soils, underneath the soil, so that will be considered as a groundwater flow. Similarly, if there is any groundwater, RG, groundwater effluent to a surface stream, if some water is moving from the ground to the surface, उसको इसने represent किया है through R subscript G. So that will be inflow to the surface flow, that will be outflow for the underground system. So these are some of the inflows which are possibly affecting the budget of this area. Why not evaporation is mentioned? Because evaporation is not inflow to the surface or ground. Evaporation is outflow. So that will be mentioned in the next slide when we will be moving to that. So next slide is showing mostly the outflows. Now precipitation is not represented over here. Now only the outflow components are mentioned over here. So any water which is going out of the system through the surface, that is a surface runoff, or through the channel, so that will be considered as outflow from the system. Any groundwater which is flowing out of the region, G2, so that will be considered as outflow of the system. So evaporation from the ground and evaporation from the surface water, from the groundwater and the surface water. If evaporation occur from the soil moisture, we say this is evaporation from the ground. If evaporation occur from the water bodies like rivers and the ponds and the streams, so we say this is a surface evaporation. So, so these are considered as outflow, evaporation either from the soil moisture, that is the evaporation from the ground, or evaporation from the surface, so that will be the outflow. Transpiration, if there is a tree over here and water is evaporated through the leaves of the tree, so that will be considered as outflow. Infiltration will be considered as outflow for the surface water and it will be considered inflow for the groundwater. And this groundwater I have already mentioned. So just make a sketch of the system, make the boundary of the system, and then identify all the possible inflows and all the possible outflow. That is the first step of budgeting. Make the system boundaries clear and then identify the inflows and outflow. Then you have to identify what are the possible storage, where water remains for certain time. What are the possible storages? So in groundwater, water remains for a certain time, so groundwater quantity increases or reduces. In soil moisture, upper part of the earth or the ground, in which water is not saturated but it has the moisture in it, so that is the soil moisture. Surface reservoir water and depression, so these are the storages at the surface. It can be natural depression, it can be man-made reservoirs. Detention storage, also some kind of reservoir where we detain water. So all of these storage we have to identify in the system so that they can be properly accounted for. Other component which you can talk, that why not we are mentioning the biological water over here, that is theoretically it is there. Why not we are mentioning the water present in the trees, that is theoretically present over there. But these are highly difficult to identify, to measure, and the second thing is their quantity is very small. So that's why some of the small quantities of water storages, those are not mentioned over here. So when we have identified all of these, we can write the budget equation, hydrological budget equation for the system above the ground surface, for the system below the ground surface, and then we can combine them together, and that will be a hydrological budget equation for the complete system. So that writing this, if you understand, you can write budget equation for any problem which are assigned to you. For example, we can say that in a farm field, so much water is applied, so much water is released, going out of that farm. Infiltration is negligible. Tell me how much is evaporation. So such kind of problem can be assigned, and you can then writing the budget equation, you can see how much is the volume of the inflow, how much is the volume going out. If infiltration is negligible, let us say, then the difference of these two will be the evaporation. Something like that you can write, and you can estimate that. So writing this equation, if we have water budget equation is nothing but statement of inflows and outflows and the change of storage. You have all, and this is another name. Water budget equation is another name for law of conservation of mass. We believe that mass cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. So we believe that within a system, whatever is inflow minus whatever is outflow, the difference should be the change of storage of that mass. So that is what is we are writing. So that is the theoretical background at the back end of this equation. So whatever is inflow, we write them. Whatever is outflow, we write with the negative sign. So difference of these two, inflow minus outflow, will give you the change of storages. That storage can be storage in the soil, that storage can be storage in the depression, that storage can be any storage in that area, in that system. So if we consider the surface water, uh, so we are then not considering the atmosphere, we are not considering the ground. Now bring in your mind this surface, ground surface. So I will ask you to identify what are the inflows. So anybody will tell me only for surface flows, what are the inflows? Maybe I go to the previous slide. तो कोई मुझे बताएगा कि इस सरफेस वाटर के लिए इनफ्लोज कौन कौन से हैं और उनके सिंबल्स के साथ मुझे बताएं. So precipitation is inflow, R1 is inflow, any other inflow? RG, component of the groundwater which is coming to the surface. Actually what are these? ये जो चश्मा या springs होती हैं, those are the components which we have to take into account. So RG is groundwater component which is coming to the surface. So that will be inflow. Any other inflow? कोई भी और नजर आता है? So these are the three inflows. So now if I see the equation, so this P, R1 and RG are with a plus sign. So these are inflow to the system. You can write them together, P plus R1 plus RG. Now try to see what are the outflow from the system. And the system we are talking is surface water system, not the groundwater. So for this surface water system, what is the outflow? एक बड़ा outflow क्या होगा? Evaporation, transpiration, or infiltration, or surface runoff, R2, और कुछ नहीं. ठीक हो गया? So evaporation, transpiration, infiltration, जो RG ऊपर आ रहा था उसके उलट infiltration है. So infiltration is outflow. R2 जो R1 inflow आ रहा था उसका inverse या उसका उलट, उसके parallel R2 is going out. So writing these three terms, evaporation, transpiration, infiltration, or surface runoff with the negative sign. So writing inflows with the positive sign, writing outflow with the negative sign. So that is the difference of inflows and outflows. So that should be the change of storage in the surface. Not all storage in the whole system. Ground को हम अभी include नहीं कर रहे. It is above the ground. And also take into account, we are not making the budget of atmosphere. इसमें एटमॉस्फेयर वाटर शामिल नहीं है. एटमॉस्फेयर की स्टोरेज पे क्या फर्क पड़ा है वो हमने नहीं लिया. Got it? So we are talking about the water on the surface. So inflow minus outflow is change of storage. Similarly, you can write the equation for groundwater. So if we go to the figure again, what is the inflow to the groundwater? अगर आप इसको नेम दें, लेबल दें. So inflow, major inflow is from infiltration. तो यहाँ precipitation directly help नहीं कर रही ground water को. Precipitation पहले surface पे आती है, फिर infiltrate होती है. So only the infiltration is the inflow to the ground from the top. Then on the sides lines, groundwater which is coming to the groundwater bodies, that is the inflow. और कोई inflow है तो मुझे बता दें. मेरा ख्याल में और नहीं है कोई. So let us see what inflows are written in the equation. So I and G, infiltration and the groundwater coming to the groundwater bodies is inflow. All the rest are the outflows. From here, if I say this is the groundwater moving out of the system, this is the groundwater which is being released to the runoff surface water, RG, जो यहाँ पे inflow था, वो यहाँ के लिए outflow है. Then EG, evaporation from the ground, soil moisture से जो ground evaporate. और अगर कोई vegetation on the ground है, transpiration, there are sometimes groundwater vegetation is there, a small component, transpiration from the ground. So these are considered as the outflows. Difference should be the change of storage of the groundwater body. Change of storage of. When we add left-hand side with the left-hand side and the right-hand side with the right-hand side, then we get the total hydrological budget equation for the surface plus groundwater system. So that becomes, and we have grouped together the similar things. Precipitation minus difference of runoffs. Outflow is written first. R2, outflow, surface outflow is written first, and inflow is written with the negative sign. What does it mean? R2 minus R1. अगर मैं इसको नाम देना चाहूँ तो क्या होगा? This is the net surface runoff going out of the system. If I say R2 minus R1, this is the net surface runoff going out of the system. So if it is R2 is more and R1 is less, so this value will be positive. Got it? So it means I am giving positive sign to the higher quantity of water going out. So it means this is a kind of outflow. So that's why this negative sign is coming over here. Or simply you write them and then you can, if you have written positive sign over here, this should have been then R1 minus R2. Simple as this. अगर आप यहाँ पे पॉजिटिव साइन रखना चाहते हैं तो ये R1 माइनस R2 हो जाएगा. आपकी बजट इक्वेशन में फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. लेकिन हमने जो यहाँ जो यूज किया है, हमने आउटफ्लोज बना के और उनको माइनस किया हुआ है. So these components are made as a net outflows. So then if for example sometimes surface runoff is less and surface inflows, surface runoff going out is less, surface runoff coming into flow into the area is more, so then this will become as a negative. Automatically, mathematically, this will become negative. So negative multiplied by negative will be overall, this will become input to the system. ठीक है, ये साइन का ध्यान करना है. If you are writing R2 minus R1, then outside should be negative. If you are writing R1 minus R2, then out should the multiplication at the outside of the bracket should be positive. Both side, both way you can write. So result पे फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. But you should be writing it knowingly. If you are writing the net outflow as a positive, then it should be negative. Okay, now see this. G2 is outflow of the groundwater, so that is written first, minus inflow of the groundwater, so that is written next. So that is subtracted, so it is net outflow of the groundwater. So this should be given the negative sign. And similarly evaporation, similarly transpiration, and on the right hand side we add both of them, so change of storage. So this is the complete equation for an area considering ground surface and groundwater and the surface water, ignoring effect of atmospheric water. So if I add atmospheric water also, so then this will be the whole hydrological cycle for that area. So then it will be a closed system over a, no, that will not be, if area is only this one, I cannot say this will be closed system, because this precipitation is not only because of evaporation from here. So this precipitation is occurring over here because of maybe evaporation from this area and evaporation from surrounding area also. So we cannot say this is closed area, even if I include the atmospheric water into it. But if I increase this area to the whole globe, so then we say this is a closed system. ये समझ आ गया? अगर यहाँ तक, how to write a hydrological budget equation? Please carry out your own experience. Make a watershed, label all the inflows and outflows and the storages over there, and then write hydrological equation without seeing this slide. Write hydrological equation for surface water, write hydrological budget equation for groundwater, add them together and write the complete equation. So the same equation is written in another form in this, in a simplified form. If we say net outflow of the surface runoff is represented by R, if net outflow of the groundwater is represented by simply G, if net outflow through evaporation from the surface and the ground is represented by E, and if T is the total transpiration, if T is the total, so evaporation is not net, it is a total evaporation, and total transpiration is written as T. So then we can say that inflow minus outflows, net runoff, net groundwater, total evaporation, total transpiration. So above equation, this equation can be written in a simplified form as P minus R minus G minus E minus T is equal to delta S. So same equation is written in another, using another nomenclature of different processes. So R for runoff, net runoff, or you should keep in mind R means outflow minus inflows of the surface. G mean outflow up from the ground water bodies to the surrounding groundwater bodies, minus inflows to the inflow to the groundwater body from the surrounding ground body. So, and where is the I gone? Because इस इन दोनों इक्वेशन में I आ रहा था, यहाँ पे I was outflow, over here I was inflow. So that is balanced out when we are writing the equation for both system together. I infiltration is not going out of the surface plus groundwater system. It is moving from surface to ground, and then RG is coming from ground to surface. So both of them have vanished away while we are writing this equation together. So sometimes this evaporation, transpiration, and the contribution of the ground is very small. If that is a thing, we can say G is 0, E is 0, T is 0. Then we can say that a precipitation minus surface runoff is equal to change of storage. So these equations can be simplified in special cases, not always, but in special cases. This case, special case, any example comes into your mind where I can say transpiration is not there, or evaporation is neglected? Any system which comes into your mind? For example, you have a canal body. For example, you have a reservoir, small reservoir, and you are writing its water budget equation for, let us say, a few hours or few days. So usually if I am writing equation for a reservoir, and if I consider that there is no seepage out of that reservoir, although it is not true, seepage occurs through the reservoir underneath. If I assume evaporation within 1 hour or 1 day, the time period for which I am analyzing is ignorable, so then whatever is the precipitation in that reservoir, uh, minus net outflow of the water to the reservoir will be equal to the change of the storage of that reservoir. So such things can be written for in a simplified cases. So you should be able to write hydrological budget equation, please. Okay. While we apply the budget equation, and what problems or difficulties we face and where it can be used are highlighted in these two slides. Uh, Sometimes we are not able to measure different components. For example, it is difficult to measure evaporation, which is occurring from a catchment. Evaporation from a catchment is difficult to measure. How can I measure how much is evaporation happening? So alternate way what we are doing, that we assign, we place in that catchment pan evaporator. 1 मीटर डायामीटर के 1.2 मीटर डायामीटर के पैन हम रख देते हैं, उसमें पानी भर देते हैं, and we daily measure how much is the reduction of water in the pan, so that we use to estimate evaporation from that area. Similarly, it is difficult to estimate transpiration. So the detailed studies are then there. हम उनको कहते हैं कि evapotranspiration को measurement करने के लिए we call them lysimeter studies are carried out. So we have to give you a message that some components of the hydrological budget equation are easy to measure, but some components are difficult to measure. For example, rainfall accurately is difficult to measure, but to much of the extent we can estimate the rainfall using the rain gauges. Rain gauges are small pans, 8-inch, 10-inch diameter pans, which collect the water, and every day we measure them. How much depth of water coming in that area of the pan, rain gauge. So that rain gauge is for that 10-inch area. So we don't have all the surface covered with the rain gauges, and we cannot do it. It is highly costly, and we don't need it. Rain does not change much. But we estimate from observation of the rain in a rain gauge, and we assume that surrounding area will be having similar rainfall. So from that we estimate rain. Similarly, we estimate snow from the snow gauges. The surface runoff we can accurately measure, or to much extent we can measure. We can have gauges installed on the rivers. They give us the velocity of the river. They give us and then we also measure the cross-sectional area of the river. Velocity multiplied by area gives us the flow quantity. But we cannot measure the flow of the ground to much extent. How much water is coming from the surrounding area in this part groundwater. So that we have to rely on estimates accurately. We cannot measure. We see what is the groundwater depth at this place, what is the groundwater depth at this place. So from the level difference, we estimate the gradient or slope of the groundwater surface. So that slope is used to calculate groundwater flow using Darcy equation KIA. I is the gradient, K is the permeability of the soil, how much is soil permeable, and A is the flow area. So those are estimates for groundwater flow. Sometimes soil moisture we have to estimate to see the change of the storage in the soil. So moisture content के जो method आपको क्लास में बताए हुए हैं using the O1 method, जिसको हम gravimetric method कहते हैं. So that can be used to estimate the soil moisture today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and to have the idea how much is the storage change in the soil. Sometimes we use neutron probes. This is the modern apparatus. Neutrons are used to estimate the moisture quantity available in the soil. Those soil which have more moisture have more hydrogen, so neutron speed is reduced in that equipment, and from the speed of the neutron or the reflectance of the neutron, we can have the estimate how much water is available. but more simple method is this moisture content measurement using gravimetry. Infiltrometer sometimes we use to estimate infiltration. This is simply a steel ring, 1 meter, 1.5 meter diameter steel ring. We put it in the soil. At the surface of the soil, we insert it into the soil and then we fill it with the water. And every day we see how much water is going down into the soil, or every hour we see how much water is going down. So from that measurement, we estimate this soil has so much infiltration capacity. So that can be used to estimate the infiltration of the whole area, infiltrometer. So we have equipments to measure some of the components to good accuracy. Some parts we cannot measure. For example, rate of the movement of the groundwater is difficult to measure. Determination of the quantities of evapotranspiration is difficult to measure. So if if we have to estimate these things, for example, evapotranspiration, so sometimes hydrological budget equation are used. We measure all the rest of the things and we estimate the unknown thing from the hydrological budget equation. So such one of the such problem is given over here. There is a certain area, 10,000 miles square watershed, and it has received precipitation 20 inch. Rate of flow measured in the river draining the area was found to be 700 cusics. So in that river, rate of flow, which is rate of the flow measured in the river draining the area. So outflow is given 700 cusics. Make a rough estimate of combined amount of water evaporated and transpired from the region during the year. So they are saying that tell us how much will be the estimate of evapotranspiration from the region. Now, if you see, they are not telling what is happening to the groundwater. So it means they are assuming that groundwater over the year remains constant. And what happens normally in the monsoon season, groundwater rises, and in the dry season, groundwater goes back down. And over the year, we say that the groundwater change is negligible or zero. So if that is the case, then we don't need the estimate of the groundwater. So they have used the equation of the budget, that precipitation minus net runoff minus net runoff, groundwater contribution minus evaporation minus transpiration is change of storage. So in this catchment, if we assume that soil moisture and depression storage and these things over the year, they are not varying. They are varying from day to day, but from the 1st January to 2019 to 2020, within the year, the overall storages in the area remain same as the previous year. So then change of storage we can assume is zero. So then uh, precipitation minus surface runoff will minus E and T will be equal to zero storage change. So when this we can write, then E plus T can be estimated. E plus T together can be estimated writing this equation, P minus R minus G minus delta S. So this can be solved, and answer will be 19 inches per year. So what are the assumption? Groundwater inflow, outflow are considered zero. No change in surface storage. So we have taken delta as zero. Similarly, G is taken as zero. So the rest of the things we have changed the units. And finally, everything is computed in inch units. Rainfall is already in inches. Surface runoff 700 cusics, you have to convert it into inches. This cusic need to be converted into inches. For 1 year, how much is water coming? You can calculate 700 into the seconds in a year. So you will be getting cubic feet of water coming to the area. If the area is informed to you 10,000 miles square, so divide the cubic feet by the square feet of the area, you will be getting the depth of water which is coming to the river system as a runoff. So that depth of water in feet can be converted into inches, and that will come to be equal to 0.95. This 700 cusics will be coming equal to 0.95 inches. How? 700 into time divided by the area will give you this runoff. So when you have runoff in inches, precipitation in inches, difference of these will tell you how much is the evapotranspiration pump. Similar is the next question. Please solve it yourself. And one assignment I will send on the group, WhatsApp group. Please, you have to carry out that assignment also. That is about the water budget. So if you have any question, you are welcome. कोई है सवाल जवाब? Jawad, please help me in making the attendance. I try to download it. कहाँ है download वाला? Download attendance. Sometimes it allows, sometimes it don't allow. So it is not downloading. Jawad, will you help me? F के बाद H आ गया, H के बाद जवाद।
सर उसको आइडिया होगा मुझे।
किस चीज का आइडिया?
जैर से पूछ ले, शायद उसे आइडिया हो, मुझे तो नहीं आइडिया।
ओके, अटेंडेंस फिर मैं बच्चों से कहता हूँ कि इसके जो चैट बॉक्स है अपना रोल नंबर लिखते हैं, उससे आप अटेंडेंस लगा लो। पॉसिबल है? प्लीज राइट योर रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर इन द चैट बॉक्स। ये कुछ बच्चों ने शुरू भी कर दिया है, अदरवाइज यू कैन लीव। The assignment I am sharing with you on the WhatsApp group.
सर वो जो हाइड्रोलॉजिकल साइकिल वाली असाइनमेंट थी, वो आपको ईमेल करनी है या फिर व्हाट्सएप के ऊपर ही फोल्डर जिप बना के सेंड कर दूं?
Through your CR, please submit it to Mr. Salik.
ओके सर।
Everybody submit it to CR, वो कंबाइन करके एक PDF बना दे। एक पेज तो होगा सबका मेरे ख्याल में। पेज के ऊपर अपना रोल नंबर लिख लेना एंड सबमिट इट टू Salik, the GA. ठीक है, ये मैंने असाइनमेंट 1 आपको सबमिट कर दिया। इसमें हाइड्रोलॉजिकल बजट की हैं कुछ चीजें। मैं अब अगर किसी के पास टाइम है तो मैं एक नजर दिखा देता हूँ है क्या उसमें। You are seeing my screen or not? ये 20-10 के बजाय इसको मैं 27-10 कर रहा हूँ। अगले हफ्ते तक जमा करा देना। हाइड्रोलॉजिकल साइकिल को एक्सप्लेन करना है नीट स्केच में, ये आपने कर लिया ऑलरेडी, ठीक हो गया। डिराइव द हाइड्रोलॉजिकल बजट इक्वेशन, यही जो आज 2 इक्वेशनें बनाई हैं ये आपने खुद उस स्लाइड को देखे बगैर खुद बनानी है और वो जमा करानी है। डिफरेंट कंपोनेंट्स के नाम लिखने हैं। ये वही हाइड्रोलॉजिकल बजट, ये डिफरेंट यूनिट्स को कन्वर्ट करना है। एरिया 50 इंच माइल स्क्वायर है, 4 इंच की रेनफॉल है, क्यूबिक मीटर में बताओ, एकड़ फीट में बताओ। तो ये ज़्यादातर आसान सवाल है, प्लीज डू इट। So change मैंने submission date is till next week, till 27/10/20। Okay, thank you very much.